anticipation of the loss and then mourning the loss of your spouse of, what was it at that point, 40, 50 years?
57 years.
Yeah. It's a long time.
And then when it came to the end and things really went bad, the hospital people, one of their specialists came and said, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "I knew she was never going to get better. I said, just keep her comfortable." And he got here about 10 in the morning and came back, and she died about 3 in the morning.
Now, were you awake? Could you tell that was breathing slowing or?
Yeah.
So you knew it was.
You know what Shane Stokes breathing is?
I don't.
That's where people go be shallower and shallower and shallower until they stop, then they start again. And she did that for a couple of hours. I witnessed my father's death and Rose's death, and that's pretty common.
I didn't know that.
Shane, called the Shane is Cheyne, and it's pretty common. And when people are on death's bed, you see that.
So you were there for your father's passing, Grandma Rena's mother, Grandma Rose passing, and now Grandma Rena. There may be more, but what was that?
My Papa John in the hospital too, when he had that stroke. I can't remember what year it was.
Is it possible to describe the feeling of witnessing someone passing?
Mixed.
Yeah.
You miss them more than words can describe. And yet, knowing the situation they're in, for their sake, you're willing to let them go. Some of those people with that ALS, in iron lungs, we went to some of the support. ALS had a lot of support groups. And Alzheimer's, they don't have support groups like that. Joanna and I went to meetings and to learn how to take care of Rena better. And there was a guy there, he was some kind of brace and breathing, not an iron lung, or some kind of thing to help him breathe. And so that's not a life. If I was, I did for Rena what I'd want somebody to do for me.
Well, and as quickly as it advanced, was there a possibility of doing things like that? It seemed like, I know some of them can take years. I mean, I read Tuesdays with Maury and some of these other accounts that it can take a while, but Grandma Rena, from the time of the diagnosis to passing,
that's what I'm saying.
10 months.
There are no two cases alike.
Yeah.
We would go to some of the support groups. There's a guy that had to use a voice box to talk. But he was going to the gym 3 hours a day and exercising. So no two cases advance the same way.
Yeah.
And I'm certain, I think we said this earlier, I'm certain that was going on for quite some time before it's diagnosed.
Yeah. Wow.
And it could be these, what we thought were temporary ischemic attacks, could have been episodes of the ALS. I'm not certain on that one.
Okay. Were you able to identify fatigue, frustration, or whatever in yourself providing that care, or was the Grandma Rena's plight and her soon, her passing, was it?
She never got angry, which made it how she expressed appreciation for what I did.
I must run in the family, huh?
I kind of think the guy, the name of that took 22 years. He just died this past spring, and he was an astrophysicist.
Wow.
He lectured. And he finally got where he had to point to, with his eyeball, print out what he wanted to say.
You're talking about Stephen Hawking?
Yeah, that's who it is, Steve Hawking.
Oh, wow. He had ALS?
Yes, he got the name Lou Gehrig, but he was the first one that really recognized that, like 1937.
Huh. Changing the subject, and we'll come back to it, but one thing I wanted to ask about is you had mentioned last time we were together that you had played the clarinet in high school, and then you didn't play from high school until you were about 40, roughly, and then you picked up the saxophone and started playing.
It was 20 years. So I was 30,
okay, it's 38. So 20 years you didn't pick up a woodwind, and then you start again at 38, and you play for 40 years?
Until I quit last year. I played until last year. I was in 3 bands.
So is that 38 to 88? But 50, almost 50 years?
38 to 2018.
But 38 years old to...
there was a time I dropped out from the city band I was in the Bishopric.
Okay.
And then when I got back from about 2001 on, I was very involved in music. And the 20 years I didn't play, I had a patient in my practice that was a music teacher in high school, so I took lessons from him. So I could get first on the clarinet, then on the saxophone.
So, and I was trying to do the math, but when you were 38, picking it up again, I imagine you had 5 girls by that point.
Yes.
Was it a respite from the craziness of having 5 girls in the household, or how did you find that time to?
It didn't seem to bother. I can't remember any problem.
Yeah, okay. When you were working, by the time you were 38, where were you? Where was your practice at?
What year was that? 60. I was on that.
On State
60.
Street?
Yeah, I think it was over here on Brown Road.
Okay. And then did you work a typical dentist schedule, like a 9 to 5 with Fridays off, or?
I worked 7:30 to 5:30 for 4.5 days.
Whoa.
4 days. I had one assistant come in at 7:30, and the other one come in at 8. And the one that came in at 7:30 went home early. She went home at 4:30. And the one that came in late stayed till 5:30 or whenever we got through.
So you
would rotate.
You outworked them all. Okay.
Took Fridays off so I could go fishing.
Yeah, I went on a couple of those with you, I remember. One thing I wanted to ask about, and through my just observation of you, and maybe it was the stage of life that you and I were in, but it seemed like after your heart attack, your attitude, your behavior changed a little bit. Did you notice that yourself?
My daughters say I mellowed.
You mellowed out?
Yeah.
So what did they say? I haven't heard.
That's exactly what they said.
That you mellowed out a lot. I just remember when, as a boy, when we come to visit and you lived on Draper, I'm sure I was, getting into your stuff and making messes.
I don't remember.
Yeah, well, I was a pretty active boy, and I tend to be active now. But I don't know. I just remember that Grandma was always the loving, kind one, and Grandma was a little more stern. But since your heart attack, and I think even more so now, it's been magnified that you have. Mellow, I think, is understating it. I have felt nothing but kindness and warmth and love and gratitude from you since, and it grows each year. I think every time we get together.
My saying is, too soon I got old and too late I got smart.
I like that. That's good. Before we started recording, we talked about Grandma Rose, who is Grandma Rena's mother, and her husband at the time, Waldo. Can you talk about the conversations that you had when they decided to go to a care home? What level of need had they gotten to? What was the...
Well, Waldo had this stroke and he had hallucination, and he would say, well, I'm in a room on the upper floor of the temple. He couldn't move, so they had to take him, he took him to this place, and he was being cared for there. But he missed Rose, so he kept on Rose all night long until they let her come stay. Because ordinarily they don't do that.
After the stroke, he couldn't move, he couldn't do much for himself at all? Okay, so he needed full-time care.
My memory's a little vague on it, but I know that he couldn't take care of himself.
Okay.
I think he had a stroke in a bathtub, and Gail Shrine had been to pull him out of the bathtub. I don't know when it ever got out.
Oh, wow. But at that time, Grandma Rose was still functioning and fine. She was doing okay health-wise?
Yes.
Okay.
And she was mentally cognizant, too.
Right. Because did she miss him? I mean, imagine to leave your home and go to a facility. Was it a large facility? Was it a small home? Do you know? Medium size.
If it's a fairly big home, I don't think they have more than 8 or 10 patients.
Okay. So like a residential facility?
Conversion.
And then Grandma Rose went to go stay with him, to be with him. I imagine that she missed him enough and wanted to comfort him, at least. That was the reason for leaving, or to join him?
Well, he kept calling, and the people would take her, and she was willing to go. She left her. They were living here in 3 Fountains, because Waldo owned about 3 units here.
How was so after Waldo passed, and then Grandma Rose stayed in that residential facility, how was her health? She lived for...
Physically, it was pretty good. Mentally, she kind of slipped up, because we'd go see her, and she'd sit and hold Rena's hand and watch television, and not much conversation. You remember that? Not very alert. She was content she knew who were there, but she couldn't hold a conversation, and she wanted to hold Rena's hand and watch television. Was she ever diagnosed with dementia or some sort of a... Not to my knowledge.
Okay. But mentally she wasn't...
she's aged.
Fully aware. Yeah, I mean, aged. By that time, she was in her 90s, right?
She died, she didn't quite make it at 95.
Okay, but yeah, early 90s. Okay. Before, we also talked about the current, I guess, consideration that you're looking into. Is it a knee? Are we getting a hip replaced, or?
I was taking the anti-inflammatory thing, the ibuprofen, and I thought that would cut down the inflammation. It had been helped, but it didn't. So the last few days, I switched to Tylenol, acetaminophen, and it controls the pain. And so I'm doing better. I'm sleeping better. I don't get to get the cortisone shot in my hip until the 29th. And that was my fault because in mid-December I should have called and made the appointment. Then I get a pretty good time. But there's so many things. Looking at, if I talk about the surgery, who's going to help me when I come home? Who's going to take care of Nola while I'm in the hospital? Who's going to help me through the rehab? And I look at the Ryan family, and well, they're just all involved too.
Yeah.
One daughter lives right here. In an emergency, she and her husband would be there.
But the ongoing care.
The ongoing care.
Well, I imagine with the hip, you'd be in the hospital or at least
3 days.
Okay. And then
there's some rehab after that.
Yeah. And then even after 3 days, you still wouldn't be able to be up. You'd have some additional weeks of recuperation.
What I'm doing right now, I'm the caregiver.
Yeah.
I fix the meals. I kind of clean it. This lady comes twice a month, heavy cleaning the house. The rest of the time, I kind of touch up on things. But it's every day I'm the one that makes the bed. No one else make the bed. She can do that.
So, we haven't. So Aunt Nola's been here the whole time, listening in and smiling and participating that way. She's not mic'd up, but currently, Granddad is the man of the house, caring for all the needs of everybody here, cooking, cleaning, making sure
make sure the meds are right.
Yeah.
My meds and her meds.
From what I understand, the older one gets they multiply the medications. You guys have quite a few, number wise.
I think I got 8.
Yeah.
I think she has 3.
3 what?
Medications.
3 medications you take on prescription. There's some supplements.
Yeah.
I must have 6 prescription items.
Okay. I imagine carrying now at, let me see, you're going to be 89 this year. Caring for someone at 88, I imagine is a lot more difficult than it was at 78.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got an inner ear problem, imbalance, and so I have to be very careful not to turn too fast. When I go to bed at night, I keep a cane by my bed, and when I get up to go to the bathroom, or when I get up for the first hour or so, I carry that cane because I have imbalance. I've fallen 4 times. 2 times I had a soft landing, but one time I was doing something in the living room and fell backwards and hit the hearth. And I think I had about 8 staples in the scalp. And right now, I think I have this on New Year's Day. I slipped on the step out here and skinned it back, just peeled back the skin. It can take a long time to heal. My fall has been lucky. It could have been a whole lot worse.
So you've had 4 falls the past year?
Yeah.
Wow. This is a good community for friends, family. There's a lot of people here that you guys know, but these units are not ideally situated for people who have stability problems with the steps and the carpet to tile, and then the steps inside the home, and then you have a basement to it. I imagine you don't go down there much.
She doesn't go at all. I go down very carefully to see what's happening.
Make sure there's no water or crazy things going on down there. Quick time out. At this point, Nola steps out of the room to use the restroom. Her return to the room is preceded by her footsteps, which you will certainly hear as she comes back. Do you have anybody coming in to help right now with care?
With care, no.
It's all you? How is that?
I'm coping. I don't know how long I can cope, but I'm doing it now.
Yeah.
No, can't acknowledge that anybody can be weak because she's still in denial that she has a problem. She's lately beginning to realize that there is a problem, but she didn't want to own up to memory problems.
Well, and she's, from my experience, she's pretty, and I don't have much experience, but in meeting with you guys monthly, for lunches and for family get-togethers, it seems like it's progressed pretty quick in the past year or two because she went from...
It's been a major change in the last 3 or 4 months.
Because, because she would ask me, who I was, how many kids I had, once a meeting, but, at Christmas time, on Christmas Eve, she asked me several times in the same conversation.
She'll ask me, she'll ask the same question maybe 6 or 8 times in an hour's time. It was quite noticeable yesterday that she took her to the manicurist, and it's the same thing. She just can't remember things, but she still does acknowledge that she has a memory problem. George Allen had the same thing. That's John Allen's dad.
Uh-huh.
He would get angry.
Oh, really?
Frustration.
Yeah.
She stays very sweet-tempered.
That's good. Like I said, it must run in the family with Grandma Marina and her, because they're...
If I were her kids, I would be panicked because Gail died of the same thing. her husband died. She has it.